Hey, I'm Jay Kumar, the Bass Blaster, and this is your Seafoam Top 5 of the Week in Bass Fishing. Number 1. Mississippi's Brock Mosley got his first blue trophy this weekend, winning the Bassmaster Elite Series event on the stingy and tough Sabine River in Texas. He won it over 4 days with just 44 pounds and 3 ounces, so a little over 10 pounds a day average. But he won it with a 3-pound margin, which on other lakes is like 6 or 7 pounds. Big congrats to him, and looking back, it looks like it was kind of inevitable that he would win, including maybe on the Sabine. What I mean is he's had 5 second place finishes, including one on the Sabine, and I've seen that happen several times over the years. Usually that means a win is coming.
Finally, Mosley makes it happen!
And so again, 2 years ago on the Sabine, he finished second, and the last time they were there before that, he finished 12th. So obviously, it was a place he felt comfortable at and that he could win. In this one, he won fishing a 4-inch Yamamoto Senko in 2 colors, June bug and blue laminate, and said the blue was to kind of match the blue crabs. The blue crabs meaning it's tidal water, in case you're unfamiliar with that river system. He mostly power shotted the Senko, also called Bubba shotting, and it's basically just a heavy-duty drop shot, but he also Texas rigged it. Other baits were a bigger size Rebel Pop R, and he had one key fish. I think it was the last day on an Angler Asset spinnerbait. In other words, older school stuff. He was fishing man-made structure and did use forward-facing sonar, but he said only to line up casts. When I talked to Brock, he was fired up and cranking this tune. I'm winning. Haha, yes he is. Number 2.
People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
John Wick is talking about spinnerbaits. They're back, man. Sorta. So let's start with a real quick review of some of the top tournament finishes this year, starting at the Sabine. One of Brock's winning baits was a spinnerbait. Then we had Clark Wendland in second place. He fished a spinnerbait. Matty Wong in third place fished a spinnerbait. And Matt Onum Robertson also fished a spinnerbait. Earlier this year, Alton Jones Jr. won the Major League Fishing Heavy Hitters Tournament, also with a spinnerbait in the mix. And there have been several top 10 finishes in the Bassmaster Opens, the MLF Invitationals, and the MLF Toyota Series this year and the last year or two maybe, with spinnerbaits in the mix. So are they back? Or maybe they never left. I mean, when we did our review statistically of the top 10 tournament bass baits of all time so far, number 9 was War Eagle spinnerbaits. So did they really go away, and are they really back? Well, in a way, yes. Up until the last couple, 3 years, spinnerbaits were kind of replaced by chatterbaits or bladed jigs, and also swim baits. Now those baits worked in the same places as spinnerbaits, and they still do, but they were kind of more in fashion than spinnerbaits. But once again, over the last couple years, spinnerbaits have been climbing back into the mix, and one reason for that might be that some seriously great spinnerbaits have come out the last couple years from a couple companies, notably Booyah and Berkeley. The Booyah Covert Series spinnerbaits were designed by Jason Christie, his dad and uncle, who all fished spinnerbaits, won money on them, and kept those family secrets for years, but then let them out, of course. And then the Berkeley Power Blade spinnerbaits were designed by Edwin Evers, Oklahoma's Edwin Evers, and they're just dang good, especially that compact one. Now, having said that, obviously there are a bunch of good spinnerbait manufacturers out there, and all I'm saying is this might be the era with the best spinnerbaits across the board ever. So get out there and fish them, man. Number 3. Is the best bass bait color actually baby bass?
That's an interesting thought.
Well, I think most of us would answer no, whether we're talking about hard baits, soft baits, or whatever. But maybe we're wrong. I'm going to start this off with pro angler John Cox and his best buddy Keith Carson. Pretty much the only soft plastic these guys fish in shallow water is the Berkeley General. It's a stick worm like a Senko, and they only fish it in baby bass. Now to me, the color of a baby bass General looks like a cucumber or maybe like baby Yoda, that color green. Well, as it happens, this week I was in a boat with Keith Carson and all he had were baby bass colored Generals, and we smashed the smallmouths with them. I was instantly a believer, and I should have been without having to be shown, but hey, I'm a hard-headed bass fisherman. But that's not all. Check this info from Major League Fishing's bass biologist Stephen Barden on the Big Bass podcast.
Any forage item is a benefit, but if the option is eating bass, bluegill, or rainbow trout, eating rainbow trout would be the most advantageous, followed by bass, then bluegill, and then probably like frogs, because once again, they're each different in kind of the calories that they'll consume based on that forage item. One of the best ways to grow bass is for them to eat other bass.
Do we underestimate like a baby bass color? Is that on some level perhaps the safest color to throw because it's the one thing we know the bass in any body of water are eating?
Yeah, that's for sure. Whenever we talk about especially stocked fish, like fingerlings that are stocked, if they are consumed by a largemouth, almost always. A 3-inch bait that is a bass color, fished in shallow water, littoral zone, 3 to 5 foot, during spawning season, shortly thereafter would be, if they're sight feeding, would be a good pattern.
Is that interesting or what? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm going to have a lot more baby bass in my boxes, and this deal from Kermit just seals it for me.
It's not easy being green. Seems you blend in with so many other ordinary things. And people tend to pass you over because you're not standing out like flashy sparkles in the water.
Not standing out with flashy sparkles in the water must be the deal, man. Number 4. Okay, here's a quick tip I learned from Keith when we were fishing together. Now, at first I was wacky rigging with a Berkeley Fusion 19 weedless wacky hook. I think it was 2/0. Now, I was fishing with bait casting gear because I just prefer it, and I was catching them, but I had to set the hook pretty hard. Now, Keith advised using the same hook he was using, and he showed me what it was, a number 2 Fusion 19 Dropshot hook. I mean, the dang thing looked like a bluegill hook. Now, I thought he was messing with me or something, but he wasn't, and I tied it on and fished it on spinning gear this time, and wow. The first thing is to skin hook it behind the egg sac so that Senko falls flat. That's the way he likes it. And I never lost a fish on that hook, and he didn't either. It just pinned him. I don't know if it'll work the same with every drop shot hook, but I assume so.
Do or do not. There is no try.
There you go, man. Number 5. I gotta shout out Georgia's Emil Wagner for winning one of the toughest amateur bass tournaments we have, the BFL All-American.
We all-American, we some cowboys, we stay over yonder and y'all, yes ma'am.
It was on Lake Hartwell, Georgia, and it was a big-time herring deal. Not surprisingly, almost all of the top 10's baits were those herring fish baits, flukes, or other soft jerk baits and top water walking baits. Emil used a Zoom Super Fluke, sometimes with a little weight, and a 6 cents catwalk walking bait, and fished drops instead of the brush piles most guys were targeting. Now, anyone paying attention to the tournament scene might not be surprised Emil won. He's had multiple BFL top 10s the last couple of years and one win in there, and this year multiple top 10s on the Toyotas. Keep an eye on him. Congrats, man. That's all I got for you this week. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Seafoam. Go to BassBlaster.com or .rocks to sign up for the juicy Bass Blaster email. See you next week. God bless you.